Washing up? Yes. But first, let's look at a tiny two-way taper tang. You see, the tang, it tapers from here to here. Not dramatically, but if you look at what remains of that center line that I scribed, you can appreciate. Now when we flip it around, yes, it's the same thing, but thinner all the way down. So there's a taper from the top here to the bottom there. The two-way taper tang. I learned about this from Vinian Fuso, my friend and mentor at the Greenfield Forge. He showed me a knife that he made, and he explained it to me. He said, it's difficult. So I did a taper tang on my bush knife with the triphasic grind, but just a one-way. And I have made a two-way tapered half tang, which I could show at some point. That's a weighting heat treatment, that blade. But this will be my first full two-way tapered tang, and it's been challenging. So let me show you or kind of explain how I've been doing it. See, the way you get this flat, perfectly flat, is not by trying to just simply flatten it out. Say, for example, I have this perfectly flat diamond stone, right? But if I just go like this, any way I do it, there's going to be some rocking, and so the whole thing will not be flat. And if I want to then attach a flat handle scale, that in principle is a complication, right? This wants to be flat, so we get a good union. But in fact, it's going to be flat all the way around the edges and slightly hollow in the middle. So to start out, I went in hollowing with my 3-inch bench grinding wheel. And I made the hollows here and tried to get them deeper, tried to focus it in between the pinholes and get them deeper down this end. And then I could start flattening out. And from then on, basically, I've banged back and forth a lot, but basically let's say that to start out, I used the 3-inch wheel, and from then on, it was pretty much all just hand. So if I flatten this out like this, as flat as I can get it, and I tend to do this kind of two-handed or standing around or walking through the woods or whatever, or maybe not the taper tang, but and you can see the highlights, the shiny part versus the hollow. And around the edges, it's not shiny yet, right? So it still needs to be worked down. Although we're so close now, I'm going to call it any minute now. I'm just going to say I've had enough of this because it is, what is it? It's good enough. I'm just, so you can see down the end there. That's trouble down there. To get that, you have to remove a massive amount of metal just to sort out this little area there that isn't flat yet. In principle, but this is a tiny knife and the scales will be very thin and they'll have liners, so I don't think it needs to be perfect to appear very, very close to the eye. And close enough is good enough because perfection is a hypothetical. So, yes, I can flatten this out, and then once I got my shiny areas, then I can, so I had one of these that I picked up in a consignment store that was already super welled out and worn out, but it was like $1, so I grabbed it, and I just broke it in order to have a piece that I could flatten. And I do actually have this flattening stuff, so it's flat. Were it not flat, it would be showing the well. So I did just recently flatten this out. But to give you an idea, this is obviously not flat, so then that'll immediately show you, right? So this being flat and quite a good grit, I can also use this for this flattening part. But once I've got shiny spots, then I grab this and, like as if I were a pencil eraser, I'm just rubbing out. I can't really do it properly with one hand, but I find a shiny spot and I just rub on it. Yeah. And that means that that area, the next time you do one of these passes, will catch and grind more than the smoother surfaces, or obviously the surfaces that aren't making contact. And so that's how you do it if you want to take 5 hours. Now, once I have skill and I have equipment, maybe I can do it in 5 minutes. But the thing is that I've noticed is that, let's say I'm out in a car and I've got a long way to travel. I get up to speed and I like to drive fast, you know? Fast, drive fast. Let me get around these guys. So now I'm in the fast lane. Oh, there's my exit, right? And when you do that with knife making, you can't put material back on. So that's why I'm doing this slowly for now. Not because I want to spend the rest of my life grinding tiny two-way taper tangs, but because I would like to, in my life, make perhaps quite a lot of two-way taper tangs. And so, yeah, this is me studying instead of doing the washing up. Oh, I could also whittle on a slingshot, instead of doing the washing up. That's a good one too. This one was in my first video that I put up on YouTube. It's a very, very tough piece of oak. The left fork is pretty much there, and the right one needs a lot of work. There we go. That much less work to do.